that's great. And I like that bit. The behind the scenes. So because even though people are watching now, good evening everybody. They think they're getting all the behind the scenes stuff. There is still that little bit of stuff that we keep right back.
There's a pre-show to the pre-show, if you're unaware.
Assuming that I get my timings right and get here on time, but that most of the time I'm getting there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the pre-show before the pre-show really, I don't know, makes me really excited sometimes because there's some cool things that I get to talk with you, Barry, about in private without exposing the trade secrets, so to speak. And we're just like, we're on this continuous improvement kick over here.
Yes. So, no, absolutely. Right. It is cool. Oh, I'm tired though, because I'm still recovering, because obviously last week I had to flake out because I was coughing and all that sort of stuff, and I was just terrible. I don't often get ill, but when I get ill, I seem to do it properly. And this just started off as a bit of a tickly cough. I'm like, how bad could that be? And then the first night, I was awake until 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And so, of course, I'm getting out of bed, going downstairs, so I don't wake my wife up, and so she can get a decent night's sleep. And so I'm trying to. And it was just like that for like 3-4 nights solid. And yeah, I didn't actually get a decent night's sleep. I think it was until Saturday night. So I've been recovering this week. I mean, I worked all the way through, but yeah, I just didn't want anybody else to get it either. So,
I should say, like, before I changed it, my one more thing was something very different. It was kind of on a very different note. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
It was along the same lines of, man, when can I finally get rest? I've taken so much time off and I don't feel rested after any of it. And it just, like, I didn't want to leave it at kind of a depressing note, so I left it at a more it's a funnier note. And I think you'll really appreciate this, because I need to pull it in. Actually,
I was going to say, because that means little to me, so you're gonna have to do something to give it more. More content.
No, I know. Let's see here. I'm going to look at. I'm gonna find my review and I'm gonna screen cap it. Because they responded to it with, "Hey, you want to take a survey on how your service?" Let's see here. Newest.
While doing that, I found a. Where do you, not with your normal music listening, do you use a streaming service like Amazon Music or any of them like that?
I use Google or YouTube Music. I do.
Okay, because we were using Amazon Music, and I've just recently found Spotify. Well, I haven't found it. Obviously, we've known about it for a while, but I've never really used it before. But my daughter was saying how amazing it was, and then the fact that now, or more recently, launched a family account, which means you can have, as long as you're all at the same address, you can all come off the same account, but have your own playlist and stuff.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a go. And it's genius. The fact that you can be playing on your laptop, but if you bring up the app on your phone, you can control the laptop music from your phone, and you can play it through all your Alexas. And it's so well designed. I'm very impressed at the integration.
That's great. I don't know. I don't do Spotify, but we do. Like I said, we do YouTube Music, and I have it because I have. So I bought my phone under one of those things where it's like, you buy the Google package, right? And so you get like some storage space and all that stuff, and Google Music is part of that. And so I just started using it because of that. I like it enough because then I can switch between, music videos and the other thing,
normal music.
Not the
Yeah,
the lyrics is what they show, and yeah, it ends up being good enough for me.
Yes, because I'm not a massive audiophile as such, but it's just making finding music that I like a lot easier than I think anything else that I've used at the moment. And so I'm enjoying just being able to play around with it. So no,
That
cool.
does make me quite curious what Barry's musical tastes are.
So what sort of music do you think I like?
I would say like.
Bearing in mind I'm 44, so you
I know, like
put the age context on that.
Like 80s rock.
See, I don't mind a bit of 80s rock. I'm more of a 90s dance child.
Okay, all right.
So, in fact, that's just mid to late 90s, early 2000s. So dance music. But I also like Metallica, and a bit of, so it can be a bit eclectic. And so I like a bit of rock, but yeah, dance music.
We are more similar in musical taste than I thought. I am also very fond of that era of music, and I like the way I like to describe it is sort of electronic tones, or not like EDM, but can blend into that, but electronic tones with female vocals. That's kind of like my jam right there.
See,
so pop,
yeah, pop dance. I used to be into rave to one point, that was a very weird time. Things like one of my guilty pleasures is scooter.
Okay.
So that's occasionally I will partake in a bit of that. Yeah, it's fun.
Shoot, I'm trying to do so much stuff right now as we're getting ready.
So
I've tried to find my review, but it's so new that they haven't put it up yet.
Oh, no.
And so I need to find my review that I've posted, because otherwise this will be not a great one more thing.
Yes, because I think a couple of episodes ago I said I was changing my entire setup, and it's getting there. So now all of my music now runs through my Rodecaster rather than it being sort of a system that I just use for the podcasting, which is cool. And I've also, I said I was going to set up a second laptop so I could have a second camera if I wanted it. That now works. So,
that's great. Yeah,
I haven't actually used it yet because I think the background that it goes onto isn't brilliant. But yes, there's definite potential there. But now it's been highlighted. So now I've moved to where I'm at now. I've on the wall behind me. I'm going to try and get some acoustic tiling, because when I recorded the Human Factors Minute that I thought sounded terrible, I was like, oh, is that because I've moved and now I've got a screen in front of me that's bouncing off the wall behind me, so I'm getting acoustic shockwave. But what you put in Discord was absolutely right. I was using the wrong microphone.
Yeah,
and I just hadn't realized. And I was like, idiot.
That tool is amazing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's something else. But it would have helped if I just wasn't such an idiot and used the right microphone in the first place.
Well, yeah, but like in a pinch, I was working on it, an hour before it went out, and it was like I couldn't have you. Okay, really quick. Anybody watching, do you know how to get to your Google reviews, like the ones that you have posted? This is dumb. I feel like I shouldn't have to do this. Did I do it under the Human Factors Cast account? This would be hilarious if I actually put the review. Newest?
No, what's happening?
No, it's not there.
Can you actually hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, no.
And I couldn't see it for a second there.
something's going on with my setup. Yeah, I switched my camera off and back on it because it all stalled. And don't do this to me. It's normally you haven't had any network connections in a long time, so I can't start doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something ropey going on with my network.
Yes, here it is. I found it. I must have put it on a different Carl's Jr. than my local one, which is unfortunate.
But I've got absolute connectivity. Why is it being a pain in the bum?
Columbia. Why did it go to that one? Oh, that's a bummer. I was really hoping it would go to my local one. Okay, well, I found it. I found the review. I've put it on the wrong Carl's Jr., but I found my review. and looking at it, I don't know if I have enough time on the show. Can you hear that, by the way?
Yes.
Is it bad?
That? It's mildly irritating, but it's really low frequency. Really high frequency, but really quiet. Okay. So I don't know whether it will come through on a recording.
So it's my old laptop. I jammed something in the processing fan so it wouldn't go off. And it's making noise. It wasn't making noise for months, and then it just started making noise. But anyway, this review, I feel like I need to read it. It is the one more thing, but I feel like I need to read it
to make it into. Yeah, we'll chuck it in there. I mean, hey, you're the boss. You can do what you like.
Yeah, I'll do it in the post show because you're right. I'm thinking about editing, and that will be closer to the post show than the pre show will be to that. So I'm going to do it there. But I got to find. Now I've got to find this document and paste it in there. So that way I just have it in one place. And there was something else that I wanted to talk about too. I just mentioned we used an AI tool. We use a lot of AI behind the scenes here, which is just really fascinating when you think about everything that goes into this production and how we're a small guerrilla volunteer team in this officially recognized media, which I didn't tell you. That's new. We're officially recognized as media now.
Really?
Yeah.
By who? What did we have to pay them?
We had to pay nothing. Let's just say it's by a professional organization that we've talked to before.
The BBC?
Ooh, that would be wonderful if we got recognized by the BBC as a media outlet. I mean, we have always considered ourselves a small independent media outlet. But no, it's nice to be recognized. No, I got a shout out in an email from somebody who we've both talked to. I'm not going to call them out. It's somebody we're both familiar with, and they basically said as much as good shout out to you for being on this thing that it was attached to, which recognizes it's a media report.
Cool. Okay.
Of when things are being mentioned. And anyway, we were on it. So
hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. What is this? 271?
I'm having issues that I've got network connection going from 10 out of 10 to 0 to 10 to 10 out of 10 to 0 to 10.
Well, that's no good.
No, I'm debating whether I need to do a really quick reboot or not, whether that'll solve it.
Yeah, you could do that. But then you would leave me alone as I'm trying to find this thing and put it in here. And that's okay. You can do that, and I will be fine. I promise you.
Well, I'd rather leave you alone in the pre-show than leave you alone in the main show.
Yes, and you are certainly garbled up right now, so please do go.
Right,
yeah. All right. So Barry's gonna be right back, and while he does that, I'm gonna be here attempting to put a screenshot in our show notes, which I feel like I'm incapable right now, but we'll get there. So I should probably at some point read this review. Like I said, I'll probably do it later. Although if I can get this working, I might just do it now. Or I could just copy the text and paste it in there. That would be the easier way to do it. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. All right. Hope you all are doing great tonight. If you're watching or listening, no matter where you're at, would love it if you would just type in the chat where you're watching or listening from. We love to know who's watching, who's got some stuff to say. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the stuff from Consumer Electronics Show 2023, or CES. And we got some good ones in there. So we're going to be taking a look at the best of the best and some maybe not so great devices. But yeah, I think this will be a good episode. Mom's watching from home. Hi, Mom. CES Ergonomics Awards. Oh, I see what he's doing there. Okay, I'm reading some of Barry's show notes, and I'm a little surprised by them. He's trying to catch me off guard, is what he's doing, and so I am trying to catch him off guard with some things as well. I've got some fun gifts in there that are gonna trip him up, I think. Oh, Mom and Dad, I'm so lucky. Get parents that support you. There he is. He's back. All right.
Did you miss me?
I did. I noticed that you're like throwing some stuff into the show notes that is meant to trip me up, and so I've thrown some stuff into the show notes to trip you up as well.
Why would I try and trip you up? That's just
because it's
funny or rude, whichever. Show notes, right?
Yes.
The downside of.
Did you see the GIF I threw in there?
No, where's that? Oh, that, yes. No, I saw that.
Smart mixer. Hey, okay. So I'm going to do some...
That's from... what was that children's series? My kids used to watch that.
I figured it was right around the time that your children would have watched this show. And that you would be familiar with it.
Yeah, it is. And
you're gonna kick yourself when you figure out the name.
Yeah, that's really because the guy who played the evil one in that, I think, recently died.
Oh, did he? That's
relatively. I think a couple of years ago, like not yesterday. What was it called? I might have to take a photo of that and send that to my kids and try and find out what it's called.
I could tell you right now, but
go on then.
But no. I'm going to make you embarrassingly ask your children for.
That's really harsh. The family will know. Photo.
What is this from? I would show it to everybody if I wasn't concerned about a DMCA.
DMCA? Lazy Town.
There it is. You got it. And the reason I'm familiar with that is the Little John remix from a while ago. Are you familiar with that? Oh, yeah.
No, but I know of it, but I don't know it.
Okay. You got to watch the Lazy Town Little John remix. That's some true internet history there, I think. Yeah, so anyway, I think before we get to my review, I'm planning to do the review in the post show, but what I want you to do right now, Barry, is just kind of skim it. So that way I can intersplice your reaction to it. And this is about 20 minutes in. So all right, I'm just making notes. All right. Yeah. So again, don't read it out loud, but
okay.
Yeah, it's right here. I've highlighted the text. Yeah. Okay.
Oh dear God. Oh, that's special. That's good. That is. I like that.
Okay, so we were talking about prompt engineering the other day, and I saw a video that told me how to get this type of thing from something, right? So you ask it for a generic, I don't know, a generic something, right? Like for this, I said, give me a review of this thing that I reviewed, and tell me why it's the best thing in the world, right? And then, yeah, or it's a I said culinary masterpiece is what I put in there, and so then it gave me some version that looked like this but was different, and then I came back and said, okay, use oh geez, I'm forgetting the prompt now. I'm blanking on it right as we're talking about it. Use it's like euphoric visceral language or something like that.
Brilliant. Actually, that fits because I've just written. In fact, I do name drop you in the article again.
Oh, hey.
For the Ergonomist, I've written an article on ChatGPT.
Oh wow! Look at that.
How human factors practitioners, we shouldn't be scared of it. How we should potentially embrace it with caveats. So,
can I get a digital copy of that article alone? We put that up on Human Factors Cast Academy. Is that something that we can do? I know there's. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yes. Once I get the fact, because it's gone to the publishers now for them to review and put proper English in there. But yeah, because I had the idea for the article in the morning, and they said, "Oh, was it 1,200 words, something like that?" And they'd agreed to it, or they chased me for it in the morning, and by lunchtime I had the article done.
Did you happen to use?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't.
I figured.
No, so I've done it as a. For those people who might, it's not that, but I've used it to produce some parts of the article, and as examples of what output you can get and stuff. But I've started, the start of the article is I got ChatGPT to do the intro for me.
That's awesome.
And then said, then followed it up with a, now, if you think that's surprisingly eloquent for me, because I'm not the best with the English language, you'd be right, because I didn't write it. But then sort of talked about prompts and stuff like that. But prompt engineering, that's the first time I've heard that phrase. So,
oh really? No, we've talked about prompt engineering like specifically on the show.
I thought we did, but it hadn't properly entered my consciousness.
Oh, okay.
I do listen to everything you say, honest.
I know. Yeah, I listen to everything that you say multiple times because I have to make the well, the TikToks.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
So, truthfully,
I just fire and forget.
You know what I've done actually for the last 2 weeks, and I've had massive success with and massive failure with.
Just take photos of me and just do it.
No, I've taken our transcript and I've thrown it into ChatGPT, and I said, "Hey, I want you to pretend like you are a content creator. I want you to find viral content. I will feed you pieces of this transcript, and you will identify key moments verbatim from the transcript that you feel would make good short form content like TikToks, all that stuff." My first request is, here's the first part of the transcript. And so it comes back with, select quotes. And then I go and find those quotes. The first time it worked really well. And then the second time it has not worked well. And I'm wondering if that's just a matter of the subject matter of the 2 episodes.
I'd say it's not going to, yeah. I think we've said this previously, but because of the nature of what we're not a populist channel. We are a popular channel with our audience, but we're not out just to get. Well, if every man his dog does want to come and listen, then that's brilliant. But we have a discerning audience.
Niche.
Yeah. That's yeah. So not everything is going to go and hit up. By the time in a couple of years' time, when TikTok is all about human factors, brilliant.
Yeah,
But
exactly. We'll be ready for them. We'll have a whole back library of a bunch of topics.
Yeah. That's one of the things I want to do. I think, is it on Saturday or Sunday? I need to go, because I realized I need to start doing what you do with my interviews and go and start doing all that prep
It's so much work. But like, here's the way that I've justified it. You know, I've made a lot of optimizations in the workflow process. Like setting up a episode takes me 20 minutes now, where it used to take several hours. And producing an episode takes me, outside of computer processing time, 20 minutes, where it used to take me hours. And so while I'm waiting on processing from one thing, then I'm doing other things. So I've kind of got the workflow down, but the added time from finding those things, there's a lot, which is why I've tried to offload some of that to AI to say, you know, what are key moments here that would resonate with people. And you know, truthfully, one that we did the other day that I thought this was a Nick original, I guess. This was not AI driven, but it was a moment where you and I were on there, and I said, how much do you think that this career could change the world? And you just pause and you say, loads. And I thought that audio would be great to just use in, like, you know, as an underscore to other videos that where like just somebody's doing something ridiculous. That is the idea that I had in my head. So
yeah.
If anyone wants to make a TikTok with that audio,
yes, because would they clip it? No, they don't. What's the terminology that they do? The young kids of nowadays do with other people's videos, and they do something with it.
I think they do something like stitch it. These young whippersnappers.
I've never felt so old. That's not true. I've felt older. But no, because it's going to do it anyway. Yes, doing that with it. If we get to do that, then that's the way to make. What we need to do is we need to make the equivalent of that pirate sea shanty.
Yes,
people then used as their content, and then. But I don't know what that would look like.
Hold on. Write a sea shanty about human factors.
See, I did exactly that for this article I was talking about, and I asked it to write 2 bits of content for it, and they were both appalling. But I'm not going to spoil any more of that article for people who are going to read it. But
you did that in your article?
Yeah. Not that specifically, but I got it to do something, to write something of itself around human factors. I got to do two things, and the 2 things it did were both terrible.
Well, prompt engineering, man. Prompt engineering. Okay, hang on. I write a sea shanty about human factors to the same rhyming and format as this example. Human factors engineering. Only one message at a time. Why? All right, this is the last thing I'm going to do. And I think we're going to roll with the episode.
Well,
all right. Let's see what it comes back with. It says... Oh, it's thinking. It's thinking really hard about this one. And it's been like really just hammered all day. Like it's having a lot of trouble. I kind of can't wait till the paid version.
Yeah, we're using it the other day. And you just couldn't get into it all day until later, like early afternoon or early evening. But I conducted my first we've got a minute. Conducted my first user assessment using the ChatGPT as the pilot to tell me what the issues are with an aircraft.
Wow.
Blew my mind. Even though I'd already had my mind blown, it was amazing, and it was really good because I've done that assessment, and it gave me all the issues just off public. I was like, Wow. I'll talk about that in the post show. Must talk about the post show. Brilliant.
Hold on. There once was a factory to see. The name of the place was HFE. The machines hummed and the work was done. Oh, work, my engineers work. Huh! Soon may the safety come to keep us healthy and free from harm. One day when the work is done, we'll take our leave and go.
That is genius. We have, I don't know, if only I could sing. If we need to record that in some way, that's brilliant.
She'd not been 2 weeks in the plant when safety hazards did enhance. The manager called all hands and granted he'd fix. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes it's weird. Before the shift had come to close, the workers' stress began to rose. All hands to the side, observe and chose to improve the flow. Huh.
Brilliant.
I'm okay with staying in the pre-show for just a couple seconds here.
You're now intrigued. Maybe we need like just a different show when we just chuck random human factor stuff into ChatGPT.
Yeah. The safety improved. The accidents were few. All risks were mitigated. The workers knew.
Of course they did.
As far as I've heard, the work's still on, the hazards are gone, and the safety's strong. The HFE makes their regular call to ensure the workers, manager, and all. Like, it started off strong, but like it kind of fell apart in the end there. But I'm wondering if we could finesse this and make it better, right?
Oh, I think we need to get various volunteers, famous and not, to sing, even if it's just like the first verse and the chorus, and then we overlay it in some sort of cool mixing style-y. That would just be hilariously funny, and I'd be quite willing to put some time and effort into that. Because I'm a child.
Hey, by the way, okay, the one last thing before we start is
the show.
I know the show. I wanted to share this in the pre-show, and I guess I could share this in the post-show, but it's just too good to not share in the pre-show. Speaking of AI, since we're talking about it, I have a new tool here that helps me maintain eye contact. Whoops. Hold on. Helps me maintain eye contact without looking at the camera. I'm not looking at the camera right now.
Really?
Yeah. Can you tell? It's kind of uncanny. I'm not looking at the camera at all. And it actually works with my glasses too. So, like, I don't know. I can tell that my eyes are not quite.
So, close your eyes. Oh, no, it does close them. It recognizes that.
Yeah, it recognizes that they're closed. It's like if you look close enough, you can tell. But like, if I do some like weird things with my eyes, you can definitely tell. Like, it flashes every now and then, so you can see where I'm actually looking. Like, let me just see. Like, there's the limit.
Yeah, there's
back and forth. Yeah, you can see. I'm not moving my eyes there.
Oh, now you mentioned that. Now that is slightly unnatural. But so what are you using to do that?
This is NVIDIA has a tool that allows you. It's a virtual. It's like an AI enhancing tool that you can.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems really unnatural for me. But if you can't tell, then I'm wondering, like, is it good enough to actually use?
Well, I was going to say, because I haven't got that perfect setup where that is me looking right down the camera. That is me then looking at you on my offset screen.
Right.
You can tell that I'm looking, and that's me reading the script there. So if I can use that,
right?
Is that part of your graphics driver package, or is that a separate download?
It's free. It's called NVIDIA Broadcast. As long as you have an NVIDIA graphics card, it should be able to do the trick. Now, here's where it breaks down. See, I have glasses, and so if I pull my glasses down just enough, the eyes are overlaid on the glasses. Ugh.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, right. I'm gonna have to play with that at some point, but now is not the time.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
We should really do a show.
We do have a show. Let me just turn off the creepy AI, and then let me go back.
Leave
to
it on,
source.
because that's the whole point.
Nah, man. Oops.
No, you just turn yourself off.
Did I bust the camera? I think I busted the camera. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. All right. All right, we're going to be right back. We're going to get to a show about CES stuff. Promise. Here we go.
Let's do that.
Welcome to Human Factors Cast, your weekly podcast for human factors, psychology, and design.
Oh, Heidi ho, it's episode 271. We're recording this live on January 26th, 2023. This is Human Factors Cast. I'm your host, Nick Roome. I'm joined today by Mr. Barry Kirby.
Hey, good evening there.
Hey, good evening there. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be, I don't know what that was.
You started off with Heidi Ho, so I thought I'd try and follow it up.
I don't know. For some reason, I was expecting hello there. I don't know. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about all our favorite stuff from CES 2023 and some of our favorite stuff in other ways, too. Later, we'll answer some questions from the community about layoffs in human factors roles, realizing company culture is toxic, and how to handle stakeholders denying ideas that are not feasible. But first, some programming notes. We recently went through a Patreon refresh, is what we're calling it. Lots of other fun things going on behind the scenes at Patreon. We clarified some benefits, added some benefits to some things. In fact, Barry in the pre-show just graciously offered to add more stuff to Human Factors Cast Academy for our supporters at that tier. So there's a lot of fun stuff in the works over on our Patreon. So now's a great time. It's a new year, new you. You can become a patron, support the show. And yeah, it's a fun time. Barry, what is going on over at 1202?
So at 1202, I finally set season 5 off, and we have recorded our first episode. It's in and it goes live on Monday. Really excited about it. It's an interview with Stephen Shorrock. And really, he gives a really strong and insightful view on where the discipline's been and where he thinks it's going. And he really throws down some interesting ideas about and made me think quite a lot, so much so that we went well over the hour that we usually do. And yeah, I can't wait for that to drop on Monday. It's going to be really good.
Is this your longest episode yet?
Is it I don't know if it's the longest episode, but length times quality, it's probably well up there.
Good. All right. Well, why don't we get into this part of the show you're all here for? Yes, it's Human Factors News. This is where we break down the latest and greatest in the field of human factors. Barry, what is the story this week?
So the story this week is the best of CES 2023. So the popular tech publication Engadget covered the CES 2023 event early this month, marking a real return to form for the publication and the tech industry as a whole, as many cancelled plans for the event in 2022. The team reported that the show was busy enough to feel like a true return to form, and it was evident that the tech industry is still thriving. One of the highlights for the event for Engadget was their annual Best of CES Awards program. This year marked the first time in 3 years that they were able to base their judgments from a full slate of in-person hands-on experiences. They handed out a dozen awards this year, including the most prestigious Best of the Best. The awards aim to capture the products that they believe people will still be talking about weeks or even months after the show concludes. From wireless TVs to an electric Ram concept truck, which I thought was really cool, to a $1,000 stand mixer. There were plenty of noteworthy products on display. Engadget also made sure to separate the wheat from the chaff, avoiding products that are nothing but vaporware or are getting attention for being, well, dumb. Don't worry, we are going to talk about them as well. So we thought it was a great idea to take a look at the event to provide informative and educational look at some of the tech, whilst highlighting the importance of human factors, engineering, and ergonomics. So, Nick, when do we go to CES and do the ergonomics awards?
I would love to do that. If we get enough patrons, we can do that. uh,
Can we not apply to become like a media thing
well,
and,
I mean,
do awesome things?
I'm positive we could get media passes to this thing. It's travel and lodging and all that stuff that would really out of pocket us.
Oh,
Like,
exist. Yeah.
yeah, we're a media outlet. We could get press passes to this, no problem. I love CES. I think it's one of the underlooked conferences for human factors professionals. Um, it's not a traditional it's a show. It's a consumer
Mm,
electronics show, and it's like a trade show, and so it's not a conference in the same way that you might use to exchange information about academic study, to exchange ideas in that type of way, or to get ideas from science, academia to industry. It's something totally different where you get to see what new ways in which people are pushing, in a lot of cases, HCI,
mhm.
um sort of at the edges of the fringe, as we'll see here. Some of these are kind of way out there, towards the bottom of our list, but some of them are really impactful to people's lives. And so I always love covering CES. We actually haven't done this on the show since 2020, so it's exciting for us too. And like always, some of the tech is very cool and some of it's very weird, and we'll get into it. But Barry, what is your sort of initial reaction looking through this list of stuff? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, concept, early market ideas, shown to us all just to be able to next to each other, and what's not to like? I mean, we've been to a couple of things here in the UK, like they have the gadget show, they have the gadget show live, which we've been to. I took my team around because of exactly what you said. It's a good time to see, what is out there in terms of new interface designs. What we're looking at? Where's the technology going? And what I really like about it as well is we've been through a couple of really difficult years, where with lockdowns and things like that. But it's fantastic that people have still got that drive, that will to expand the thinking and come up with some cool, some slightly weird, some downright odd, but still coming out there with some willing to throw them out there and say, look at this. Isn't this different? Isn't this great? So I love these type of shows. I think we should be going to more of them. And you sort of mentioned like some of our own conferences. We should be having zones and areas that brings all this stuff into that and
Mhm.
smashes them both together in some way. Maybe that's a challenge for us this year or something. But yeah, I think we need to dive into some of these things and tell people what we found.
Yeah, well, we didn't we found them. Engadget sort of put the list together of their best ones. So I think it's a good place to start. We did pull in a couple other ones that weren't listed on Engadget. They kind of do the best, and we wanted to look at some of the interesting ones. We'll say interesting, and so those are kind of further down on our list. But and we did kind of alter this list a little bit too from the original article because some of it's not necessarily human factors related, like
Yeah.
TV, laptops. Come on. Everyone, yeah, anyway, so let's get into it. So I think this first one here, in terms of accessibility, they were looking at the best accessibility um, technology, and L'Oreal, Hapta is what came out of this as their pick for best accessibility, which is essentially an assistive lipstick applicator, which it has sort of the stabilizing effect to help people apply lipstick. And this is really interesting because it's using a gimbal system that's basically letting those without finger dexterity, or strength to move the lipstick gimbal and apply it to your lips. And so this is this is a pretty cool product, actually, if you think about it, right?
Mm.
Now beauty is accessible, although I have a point on that in a minute. But what do you think about this?
I think it's really neat. I mean, as much as I don't necessarily think that everybody needs to wear makeup all the time. It's the idea that they've found. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever tried putting lipstick on
Oh yeah.
yourself? So we've all had a go, and generally, whenever I've tried to put it on for like parties or whatever, it's an art form, isn't it? That clearly people who use it learn from an earlier age and through repetitive use. And so you can just imagine that people who want to use it but can't for whatever reason, be that hand, arm, wrist, generally motor issues, would feel that they are being left behind or being left out. And so to have something like this that uses technology that it's clearly been around, because it's similar technology to where people use Steadicams and things like that. To then come and use it to do something like this, when you think, why would you spend so much money and effort doing a lipstick applicator? But the amount of people who wear lipstick is clearly massive. So yeah, when I first read it, you read the first line, you're like, how's that going to work? But then when you read into it, it's really clever. And yeah, I like it a lot. It did actually make me think as well, what's the next step for this? Yes, so you've got this, but actually, is there a medical stroke, surgery stroke, that sort of application? That I was like, my mind was just going pop, 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 pop with different sorts of ideas. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really neat, and it sort of shows that people are now thinking, I guess we would almost term them as sort of more edge cases in terms of to use a demographic, but people are absolutely there because I think the edge is quite big.
Yeah. I mean, like you kind of you leapfrogged my point about expansion to other makeup applications, and you went straight to like other.
Oh, I didn't see your note. Sorry,
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking expansion to makeup applications, not something greater, and so you just got to leapfrog that. Anyway, I do want to bring up a good point here, though, in terms of affordability of accessibility of devices. And this is $150 to $200 is what they're looking at for the retail price, and it's a conversation to be had about the accessibility of accessibility devices, or affordability, I should say, because ultimately, if you're designing for a population that can't use this thing, then you need to take cost into consideration. All things considered, $150 to $200 is relatively affordable for something like this, especially if it, like, I don't know, I'd spend $200 on my self-esteem. That'd be an easy spend. And so I think the price point is right for this. Although, what does the demographic look like for folks with those hand, finger dexterity, strength issues, right? And then beyond that, what does this look like for folks with limited hand and arm mobility, to where they can't move their arm in certain ways, like they can't lift up their arm to get to their mouth or something like that, right? That's kind of the next step for me, is like, how can you make a robot that'll do this for you?
Well, yeah, it's I was just thinking, how do you integrate it with AI so that going back to what I said earlier about if you're not very good at putting it on, it does it properly for you.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this next one. You want to read this one, Barry?
So the next one was for best gaming product, and Sony have got this one with their Project Leonardo. So Project Leonardo is their first piece of gaming hardware designed specifically for people with limited motor control. We're getting a bit of a theme, and apparently it happens to look pretty neat at the same time, according to Engadget. So it's a controller kit that will work out the box with PlayStation 5, given that it's Sony, offering 2 circular game pads lined with swappable buttons, third-party accessory ports, and other customizable inputs. The controllers, they lie flat on the table and can be mounted on a standard tripod, and they could be paired with the DualSense to turn all 3 devices into a single gamepad, offering flexibility for players depending on what their needs are. To build it, they partnered with advocacy organizations, including Able Games and Special Effect, just like Microsoft did with the Xbox Adaptive Controller. And then Project Leonardo represents, they claim, another positive step for accessibility tech in video games, a market that's filled with surprises and primed for growth in 2023. So it's really interesting. You look at the picture of this, and it looks odd. I think it's basically like effectively a couple of discs, or circular gamepads as they call them. But it's that customizability for to meet whatever needs you have to make it work properly. So I think this is a really good thing that that we're starting to think about who it is that is using it, and not just trying to push us down to, because we've all played with these game controllers that you have to learn what all the different buttons are, where they all are, people that come up with new initiatives such as like the shoulder buttons, and then you get more and more controllers. So this feels like one of the first break where you actually make the gamepad to suit you rather than you having to suit the gamepad. A truly human factors approach. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
I really like it. And designing for customizability is also it's a skill, right? You have to think about the types of people that would use this product and then how they might want to customize it, and especially when it comes to making gaming accessories accessible.
Mhm.
I think this is a good approach, and I'm happy that they partnered with various organizations, like they said here in the article. But I think one thing for me is how does this compare to other options like Microsoft's option, right? So Microsoft has a bunch of different peripherals that kind of have various interaction methods, and you kind of configure those peripherals, where this seems to be and it seems like this has the option for those where you can plug them
You
into
can
it,
do some of that, yeah, yeah.
right? Which is great, right? But I think that the base, you have sort of these pads that you can interact with in a variety of different ways. And I what I really like about these is that they go beyond video games. These could be manipulation mechanisms for other HCI devices, and so that in itself is reason to watch this space. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. This also won Best of the Best, but since we're talking about it now, let's just talk about it. Right. So
Absolutely.
they thought this won Best of the Best in terms of all of their um, in gadgets best. And so it's fun to look at from that perspective as well. And I think there's a lot of potential here, and just the fact that it was designed with these folks in mind, flexibility in mind, is comforting, right? I mean, I don't know how, or I guess what, I guess peripheral set is going to be preferred by a larger community. Microsoft's been out there, and one of Microsoft's sort of key points is that their kit is $100. And we're talking about the affordability of accessibility again, like
Yeah.
that is a huge thing. And so if Sony can meet them, and the other part of this that I want to touch on is, are these interoperable with the other set? Can I put a Sony piece and a Microsoft piece together, or are they locked into their own ecosystems? Because, like, what if one works better for me and the other one doesn't? I don't know. I just think that might be something they could collaborate on.
I was say I'm guessing I could probably almost tell you the answer right now, but that might be just me being cynical. But you do raise a really good point there, because if this is going to become a thing, which it clearly is, I mean, I think Sony entering this market is really good, because it will push Microsoft as well, and the other providers out there, because that's what a competitive market does.
Yeah.
But will we then also now start maybe seeing an interface standard to allow the bringing together of different types of interface thing to allow you to customize it to be a perfect controller for you? Maybe, who knows?
I would love to see that, because we're starting to see that with the phones, right? Instead of, I
Right.
think what was Apple was just sued in the UK for having their own proprietary system. And so now you have everyone's going to be using USB-C, and that's a standard. So
Yeah.
that's, that type of thing with input methodology, that'd be great. Anything else with this one, or should I move on to the next?
I think, just to qualify your last comment, I think it was in the EU that they were sued.
Oh, EU. Okay.
The UK, because we were stupid and left the EU. But that's a different topic.
Oh. Right. Gotcha. All right. Thank you for correcting me. All right. The next one here, Valence cell blood pressure monitoring prototype. So this one is interesting, and it's a PPG. And so if you're familiar with PPG, we have a Human Factors Minute on that. It's a fingertip clip, but the interesting bit about this is that it's using algorithms that combine the user's age, weight, gender, height, all this stuff to create a blood pressure measurement without the need for calibration, which is really interesting when you think about it, and accessible when you think about it. I think that's a theme of this year in a lot of ways. And there's sort of, this has been around for a while, but I think this, being able to have this type of thing available to clinics and hospitals alongside a version for personal use if it gets approved by the FDA, is going to be huge. So, having a blood pressure monitor PPG, instead of having to do the cuff.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a really massive step. It's something that's quite close to my heart actually, because I've been working on a project now for about the past 18 months that does something, not with fingertip, but does something similar. But the idea that a lot of people don't like getting the blood pressure taken because of the cuff and the way it cuts off the blood supply, and you can have like sort of reactions to it, and can be quite painful, etc., etc. And it takes time. So to be able to do this really quite quickly, because you're not doing that calibration, though there's a couple of issues I'll come back to with that. But the principle of it, I think, will be really, really good, particularly for like I said, more ongoing use, but also when you need to get rapid. It doesn't necessarily have to be totally accurate, but you need to understand the ballpark. So trauma care, emergency care, things like that, maybe in assisted living, and them sort of things. My problem with the calibration, to a certain extent, and we saw this through the pandemic, where we thought we had really good blood oximeters, so measuring the amount of oxygen in the blood. There was loads of issues that came up through the COVID period, where depending on the color of a person's skin, you were getting, because they're using optical sensors to measure blood oxygen levels. With the darker shades of skin, you were getting false readings because the calibration hadn't been done properly, and people didn't realize there was an issue until it was too late. And essentially what happened was people with darker skin tones were getting were being shown as to having higher blood oxygen levels than what they actually did. And so we're getting into serious health issues. So with things like this, because of that issue, I've had it really rammed home that we need to make sure that this idea of quick, easy wins are thoroughly, and I'm sure there will be, but thoroughly tested. To make sure that the non-calibration doesn't inadvertently cause issues that it's not meant to. But all that aside, this sounds brilliant. From a usability perspective, I'll just throw in, and I recognize I haven't let you get a word in edgeways yet, but from a usability perspective, I have a real issue with sensors that go on fingertips, because you then can't do it. You literally then can't do anything else with them. So they can get knocked off, etc., etc. You can lose them. Right, I'm going to shut up now. What do you think of this?
No. I mean, in terms of usability, you're right. But the whole point here is that this is supposed to be quick. You put it on for 2 seconds and you got a reading, like, or 5 seconds or whatever it is. But you're right. I mean, there's algorithmic bias that absolutely needs to be taken into account, especially if you're looking at, this combination of data from various sources like age, weight, all this stuff. I think it has, you're absolutely right, the potential to be more accurate, but also can go really wrong if we don't get it right. So yeah, let's get it right. That's all I have to say on that topic. So,
well, just the reason I was saying about the finger clip was we look at this task based on what we do at the moment, which is to take a reading at a moment in time. Whereas if we had it in a way that was said not on a fingertip, or something that you could leave on for longer, which
continuous,
you get more continuous measurement, because there is issues that come out with people who get stressed. You go and get your measurements taken, blood pressure and all that, you're automatically stressed because you're getting your blood pressure taken, which elevates your blood pressure, and that's not great. So if you could do a more continuous method, then that it lends itself to more accurate reading.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see that. But yeah, the device currently doesn't look like it would support that. It looks like it would fly right off. But I can definitely see it. Somewhere down the line, if you have somebody who's in a hospital bed or something, just clip it to their finger, and like the O2 monitor, just build it all in one.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation for another time. All right, let's get into this next one here. Is this me reading?
It's me, because you had the last one. I
Yeah,
just
go
talked about
ahead.
it a lot. So this
Yeah,
one
go ahead.
is about best mobile or tablet tech, and it's not a piece of kit as such. It's a standard. It's the WPC QI2 charging standard, which is obviously we all know what that is, right? So it does
Totally.
yeah. So remember what MagSafe is when Apple put MagSafe charging onto the iPhone, where so you can put it on. You don't actually have to plug it in anymore. You can put it onto a device and just through the basically the magnet to it, it can transfer power to your phone, so you don't have to plug it in. It's simple, convenient, and actually, it means you can have your case on while you're doing all that sort of stuff. So at CES 2023, the WPC, which actually is the Wireless Power Consortium, has released details on this new standard, this QI2, which will bring similar functionality to the basically other handsets. Now, you'd sort of think that on the plus side that this is really good because it means everybody can take advantage of this magnetic power profile. So you can basically charge all your phones, not just Apple phones. But a lot of people will be thinking, well, actually, that's great, but other people do stuff that Apple do, and it'll just be a poor implementation. But Apple is actually part of this consortium, so whatever happens to this bit to become a standard MagSafe, effectively, it should be good, and that's going to arrive on retail devices in Q4 of this year. So it's really quite an exciting thing because, as you alluded to earlier, there is these issues around lightning cables, USB-C cables, micro USB cables, all these different charging devices. Whereas this, it will just be a standard that anybody you can put your phone onto any charging platform, and it will work. There's already starting to get some of this. I got a set of earbuds the other day, and I can put that onto my charging unit, and they'll charge wirelessly, which just saves so much hassle from having to find a cable, plug it in, and all that sort of stuff. And did I mention I've got a new car? I think
Oh
I
yeah,
did
you did.
a while ago. Yeah.
The
That
whole
has.
episode on your new car.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But that has it has a MagSafe platform in it that you can just put your phone onto and charge, and it just takes away some of that conflict. So I think the ability to make this ubiquitous and to a right standard throughout the industry is a huge step forward. What do you think, Nick?
I think standards are good. We have a lot on this list that I want to get to, but speaking of your car, I'm going to move this one up here. This next one here is best transportation tech, Ram 1500 BEV concept. So basically, what they're looking at here is a battery powered pickup concept, but um, one of the key things here is there's animated grill emblems, taillights, badging, has integrated movie projector. I know Barry's looking for one of those. AI assistants that respond to voice commands both inside and outside the vehicle, as well as a shadow mode that Barry is super excited about. He can tell us more about a little bit about that, but it trains the truck to follow along behind its dismounted driver from a safe distance. Essentially, they're thinking about using this feature on job sites where workers would otherwise have to get in and out of the truck for short drives. So it's kind of a cool concept. Again, this is best in transportation tech. Not much more to say here. What do you think?
I think obviously it's following on from the Tesla truck, isn't it? It's Ram's answer to that. And like you say, a lot of it you could argue is fairly standard in this field, but this idea of this shadow mode is something that I think is quite unique and quite clever. Not necessarily for this Ram truck, but you could imagine having almost any vehicle that you need to understand where you're at and follow your commands, be that from like a big, I don't know, a digger or something like that, all the way through to having to maneuver aircraft around an airport through the tow trucks. This sort of, if it works and it works well, that I think is such an exciting concept to make work. But then from a human factors perspective, you don't want to get that wrong.
You do not want to get that wrong.
If it's shadowing you like sort of 2 inches from your back, you stop and it doesn't stop in. that could get a thing. But I saw that, and out of all of the truck, I think looks quite cool, and all the other stuff in it, I think is cool. But that is exciting.
Yeah, that is cool. And then I almost cut this thing out, and then Barry said, "No, the shadow mode. The shadow mode. We got to talk about the shadow mode." You're right. It is cool. Because when I first read this, I didn't realize that it was talking about a person outside of the car standing, and the truck is following them along. Where yes, this you got to get it right. You got to get it right here. You want to get into this next one?
Yeah. So, not really, because you talked about wants to cut. I thought this might have been on that list, but we talked about the best robot drone, which is Ki Luna. So basically, this comes down into the robot pet category. Historically, they've been all right, but not very cute, not very endearing. Whereas Luna, this futuristic companion from Ki, with his big puppy dog eyes and wiggling ears, has the adorable thing locked down, as they say. It's smart. It can scurry around your living space without running into walls, so it has that sense of proportion about where it's at. But apparently, they suggest its real magic is in its expressiveness. They suggest it's impressive what you can do with a small display, 4 wheels, and 2 ears. But it's also got, from a tech perspective, it's got loads and loads of sensors, allowing it to respond to voice, gestures, and touch. And it's got sort of games, and it makes it into a decent companion. They're suggesting using it for STEM tools for kids, etc., etc. Yeah, it sort of fits into that thing of it looks cool, but it's possibly not quite my bag. Though I did have what them little creatures that you used to get to talk to each other, and that'll come back to me at some other point. But anyway, you have all these sort of little toys, great, but it doesn't pull many strings for me. What about you, Nick? Why do you think it should have stayed in here?
I just want to say that like robots and human robot interaction is a huge subfield within human factors, and I think cuter robots mean greater trust, and that's just something to keep in mind here when you think about robots interacting with not only adults but children too. I mean, you have to think about that. If children are growing up to trust robots in a certain way, you better make sure you get that right from a human factors perspective, because then they're going to believe that all robots are going to be at the same reliability, or all autonomous systems are going to have the same reliability, which may not necessarily be true. It needs to be able to qualify some of those responses that, say not all robots can happen this way. I just wanted to bring that up. They're conversational actors, and it certainly seems like they're trying to get to that. The next one up here is a smart mixer by GE. So this one's a kitchen gadget, and I know Barry's looking at redoing a kitchen. I saw pictures on Instagram. So it's a high-end mixer, comes with a built-in scale, accurately weighs ingredients, comes with voice control, app connectivity, and offers kind of a step-by-step for recipes and adjusts mixing speeds as needed. So that's kind of cool that it has all that stuff. It has a really steep price tag, but if you're into if you're into kitchen stuff and cooking, then I can imagine this would be quite fun to have.
Yeah, I think it's, as you say, for the price tag, it's just shy of $1,000, but the integrated scale I think is cool. Voice commands, that sort of has me a bit worried. If you've got your hands in trying to put some ingredients in, and somebody behind you shouts "super speed" or whatever it is, and somebody starts mixing, and you've got no hands left, that's slightly concerning. But and then do we need an app? I don't know. But I think it'd be interesting to see this one get underway. I think possibly slightly over-engineered, I fancy.
Yeah, I agree too. All right, we got one more good one, and then we got some dumb tech. You want to read this last good one?
Yeah. So this in the wearables category, the German bionic apogee, and it's the next level. And we've talked about exoskeletons a bit, but this new exosuit builds upon their Cray exoskeleton that showed off last year. and basically it's an exoskeleton that you wear around your hips and goes over your shoulders. It can basically help you do them physical tasks, them physical lifting tasks without putting so much strain on your body. So it can offset up to 66 pounds of load to the lower back per lifting motion, reduces fatigue, and overall helps with walking assistance. And it's the lightest exoskeleton that they produced to date. And what is also quite neat is it constantly gathers data about what's going on, and so can provide you feedback about how you're using it. And if you're doing something that you shouldn't necessarily be doing, so it's an unsafe or like a non-stable or a non-assisted movement, then it'll actually alert you to realize that you're doing something that you shouldn't be. They are currently pushing out into warehouses and commercial settings, so you don't expect to have it in your house anytime soon. But it looks cool, and it actually looks like something as well. You look at photos; it looks like something you'd wear. It doesn't look clunky. It doesn't look. It looks like something you'd be quite happy to walk down the street with. So you've had a look at this, Nick. What do you think?
Dare I say it's a sexy piece of kit? Like it.
Yeah.
I mean, like you wear this, you feel like a superhero. I'd imagine. Yeah, no, it's cool, and I don't have much more to say that hasn't already been said. I would say go take a listen to some of our coverage around Ergo X, especially the ones that we did in 2018, where we sat down and talked to Chris Reed about exoskeleton. We nerded out, and it was cool. It was a cool conference. Everyone, was getting into their exoskeletons in a conference room. It's kind of fun, but I love seeing the technology come to fruition. I mean, we know that this has been a huge point of research, at least in human factors, about how do humans integrate ergonomically with the exoskeleton suit itself. And I think, looking good is half that battle. So, all right, let's get into some dumb tech here. I really want to talk about. I'm going to talk about this one first because I don't want you to talk about this one. I want to steal the thunder here. So the aroma shooter. Okay, so the aroma shooter is it might take the crown here for the best of, at least in my mind. It's got the stupidest name and the most potential for let's say ill use here. So it uses solid state cartridges that come in a variety of flavors, and basically it's essentially a wearable aroma diffuser, and you're watching stuff on TV or your computer or in VR, and it shoots out aroma at your nose. So, nothing super strange about that. People have been wanting to transmit smells digitally for quite some time. Smell-o-vision. But it also has some massive potential here for some weird third-party integration. Let's just say that. I'm going to leave it there.
I think
Mom and Dad are watching.
Yeah, I think it's it is one of these things though that it is almost like a bit of a holy grail at the moment, because it is one of these things we just can't do, and our sense of smell is one of the most sensitive senses that we've got. So if we could get that right, it would massively enhance our integration with technology. But it's interesting that, again, we highlight this as the way it could be abused. I mean, could you imagine it being hacked? Or the flip side of that, it actually, giving you the smells of what you are watching.
Sulfur. You're watching Lord of the Rings and you smell sulfur, or it. Yeah, there's going to be a need to turn this on and off, because
moderate the smell or adapt the smell or something like that. And what happens if you don't switch it off when you go onto certain websites as well? But let's not go there. But I think it's and the name of it that I haven't got right either. But the idea of being able to get the smell, I think, is exciting. But it's just not yet.
Yeah, you can pick any one of these other ones.
So I'm going to go for the pea pebble, or as Withings call it, U-scan. So I think this is really interesting as well. It's a health monitor. You have a little pebble, and you put it into your toilet, and it monitors your pee. So it's a urine monitor that helps you, in theory, keeps an eye on vitamin deficiencies, estrogen, pH levels, and everything else that you can monitor through urine. And it presents its findings through a handy mobile app, as they say, which is good because you don't want to be putting your hand back into that to go and pick it out and getting Bluetooth it every time, do you? Because that would be annoying. But again, it's been highlighted as a bit dumb tech, but the principle of it is really good. Because just through urine samples, you get to know so much about what is going on, going on with your body by what it's excreting. So the theory behind this, I think, is brilliant. The practical application of it, possibly less so. What do you think, Nick? Because I know you've got a couple of country-based concerns with this one.
Well, yeah, there's some so U.S. based privacy concerns with data. There's certain states here in the states that can get people arrested because of stupid abortion laws. Like that, and P might be able to solve that issue for. Anyway, it's just you got to be careful with that. So, it's stupid for that, but I agree that there's a lot that you can learn. The practicality for those that stand, you have to sit to use this thing. So that means every time, and if you want to look at trends over time, that means you have to sit every time, which is not convenient for those that stand. Anyway, I'm getting into a whole usability argument about it. It's a cool piece of tech, but again, like there's many things I think of. We're running short on time. I'm gonna get into this last one, which is just ridiculous when you think about it, but it's called the Skyted voice silencing mask, and it's a mask that you wear over your face. And I'm going to try to do this so that way I still have good audio, but you mask it over your face, and it's so that way you can scream and talk in VR without disturbing the people around you. So like if you're playing a horror game and something surprises you, go, and so you're it just covers your mouth. Okay, I've lost it. All right, Barry, what do you think about this one? Let's get out of here.
Yeah, great. I can. Yeah, fine.
All right. Well, thank you to Engadget for our news story this week, and thank you to all of you for selecting the story. And if you want to follow along, we do post links to all the original articles and weekly roundups in our blog. You can also join us on Discord for more discussion about these stories. Tell us what your favorite is. Drop it in the channel. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to see what's going on in the Human Factors community right after this.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our weekly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and Human Factors Minute, a Patreon-only weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember, it depends.
Yes, huge thank you, as always, to our patrons. We especially want to thank our Human Factors Cast All Access patron, Michelle Tripp. Patrons like you keep the show running. Truly, we could not do this without your support. By the way, did you know that we have some social media accounts that you can go and check out? We do have shorts out there, so if you don't have time to commit to the full show, you're probably not listening to this. You're probably skipping over it, so this probably doesn't even... Anyway, if you want to check out our shorts, we have those bite-sized content. If you don't have time to listen to the full show, do that. We're short on time. Speaking of shorts, so we're going to get into this next part of the show we like to call...
It came from...
All right. Yes, this is It Came From. We look all over the internet to bring you topics the community is talking about. If you find any of these answers useful, give us a like wherever you're watching or listening to help other people find this content. All right. We got a couple of really good ones tonight. This first one here is by Caleb Colorado. Caleb Colorado. Wow. on the human factors subreddit. Layoffs in human factors. 12,000 from Google, 10,000 from Microsoft, 11,000 from Facebook. Seeing these tech layoff numbers has become worrisome for me. I'm getting ready to enter the industry. With the talk of another recession probably hitting us, what do you think are the most safe or job secure, recession proof jobs in human factors? Barry.
I think, and this is only my perception, that layoffs are more in the UX field than the broader HF field at the moment. There is a discussion there around, I think we've had it a while back, around fashionable nature of UX, but fundamentally the recession-proof jobs, nothing is completely recession-proof, I don't think, but safety critical industries, so look at your air, your oil and gas, your nuclear, your defense, those places where they mandate the use of human factors and it's not just a nice to have, would be where I'd be looking. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I thought it was worth revisiting just because I know a few who were hit with those layoffs. And I think you're spot on there with UX being sort of the more the industry that's affected more than human factors. Although there are some human factors engineers that did get laid off from Google and Microsoft, and so it's still worth talking about. But you're right; those critical industries, looking at human factors, I think where human factors is absolutely indispensable, those are your safest bets. So there you go. All right, let's get into this next one here. This is by Abgi 237 on the UX research subreddit. I had when you realize the entire company culture environment has drunken the Kool-Aid. I had an experience where they were all convinced they were doing good work and solving really important and complex customer problems where they were not improving or driving any revenue for the business. The entire thing was being run at a loss and not producing anything. The complex customer problems were the customer problems were selling DIY equipment from paintbrushes to bathtubs. What are other experiences of such strange and very toxic environments?
I've seen this more than once, and more than once in the past few years, where people get fanatical around either a brand or they get really into, and almost for the best of reasons. You know, they've cultivated an atmosphere that is really really encompassing and all that sort of stuff, and they get everybody. It's almost really good leadership. Get really behind the idea of what it is what they're doing, but fundamentally, what they're doing is broken. They haven't based it on evidence. They haven't. So it's belief over facts. So yeah, I'd like to say it's a one-off, but it does happen. It's one of these things, and it's where some of the good products happen. Actually, you know, the things that you don't think are going to happen, it's then one in a million. But yeah,
So what you're saying is don't work for companies that act like cults? Is that
unless you think it's going to be one that is going to succeed.
okay? All right, fair.
Because
Yeah. So
there's a couple out there that you could name that are very side of very cultish, but have succeeded. But actually, the vast majority of them don't.
yeah. I've seen this happen where the whole company kind of gets groupthink around process or procedure or management style. And it's incredibly toxic for the entire company too. I've seen that happen. And especially when they're not receptive to new ideas, that's, kind of answering the question of where does these toxic environments happen? Not just with the product and believing what you're doing with the product, but the way in which you conduct business behind the scenes too can have a large impact on that toxicity level of being at a company. Anything else to add to that one, Barry, or should we move on?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Last one here. Is it common for product managers or product owners to shoot down any idea due to feasibility? This is by similarities on the user experience subreddit. I was asked to come up with a solution for a certain part of a product. When I came up with a solution that the rest of the UX team agreed on, when I shared it with my PO, she did not go for it because it would be, quote, too much extra dev work. I feel like every time I come up with an ideal solution, my product owner will just adjust it in a way that leads to a much more confusing UX, but overall is less effort for developers to implement. Barry, what do you think of this? Have you ever encountered this before?
Only on a work day. Yeah. welcome to the job. It's the I mean, the one thing I would say is it's easy for us to look at this and say, don't they just know what we're talking about? But actually look at it from their perspective, and it's something I keep on having to kick myself to do all of the time, is why are they coming out with that? Almost treat them like that, do a bit of user research on them. So look at it from their perspective. From their perspective, development time is expensive because they've got loads of devs and they know that they're a massive overhead, and what they practice is the equivalent of voodoo because nobody else can do it. And really, you don't see the output of the UX problem, of the user interface problem, of your user problem until the product hits the ground. Even though we'll be doing research and we'll be doing all the user trials and all this sort of stuff, it's really easy for other people to belittle them discussions. So they've either got a hard cost that they know that they know that the dev time is expensive, and if they can reduce that, they know they save bucks on their project. So so really that means if you flip the thing on its head, that makes it our job. It's not only just to come up with the solution, but it's to come up with a really good evidence base, not just "I told you so" or "I'm awesome, look at me, you employed me for my skills," which you think would be enough, but it's not. We need to give them evidence. We need to give them solid reasoning. Now, it shouldn't be like this, but it is. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it does keep us more honest. Maybe it does keep us on our toes, but we do have to work harder to get our point across. And maybe it's a good thing for us. Nick, what do you think? Have you ever encountered this before? I know it's a rare thing.
It's very rare. No, I said my snarky comment here is, "Oh, you must be new here. Welcome to the field." But you're right. I mean, there's ways to work around this. One is like kind of showing why the design decisions would have some return on investment. If it saves users X amount of whatever. That's a good one to come in, right? And also understanding, you're right, from the perspective of the engineers, what specifically is hard to implement about this thing. I think there's a good discussion that can be had there, bringing everybody together and understanding everybody's needs. Working within constraints is one of the things that we are meant to do. Understanding why it's hard for a developer to implement is part of your job, because then you can provide a solution that's going to work for everybody. You're the advocate for the user, but you're operating within the framework that you have established as your product. So just think about those types of things as you're trying to approach these situations with a product owner. You want to make sure that you're involving not only the product owner, but the developers at an early stage. So that way, when you come forward with a design solution based on user research, that it is going to be feasible, right? That's the whole thing. So anything else to add there? Or should we just get into one more thing?
Let's just get into one more thing.
Okay, let's do it. What's your one more thing this week?
So my one more thing this week is all about kitchen design. We have to be grown up and make grown up decisions. We're building an extension on the back of the house, or we'll be building an extension on the back of the house. And last weekend, when on Sunday, when I was starting to feel better, we went round a couple of kitchen showrooms where you go and talk to their people. And one of them was brilliant because they turned around and told us that we'd have to learn about this thing called ergonomics, and how we actually fit within our kitchen. Now, as Amanda give me a bit of a look as if to say, "Don't say it, sit down." But one of the things it did do for us, we ended up. I did some sort of task talk through stuff around our utility room, because we're having a bit of a utility room, converting what is currently our kitchen into this thing. And it wasn't until we started doing talk through about how we would use the kitchen appliances in there that we realized that the wall was in the wrong place. That the wall that we've got planned needed to move, and I only wanted to move it 25 centimeters, 250 mil, in order to make it usable. But that was the difference between what we would have, which would be a poor second, and being able to just move that wall, because it's still in paper form. It's still just in plans. And so I had to rush an email off to the architect to say, the wall's in the wrong place. We need to move it back 250 mil in order to move a boiler, to be able to put an appliance in, do this. So it was just really neat that actually we, again, you don't switch the ergonomics off, do you? You don't switch off the human factors. You sat there and do that. And actually, I was kind of kicking myself about why we didn't catch it the first time around. But I think with just the plans, you're just so overwhelmed. But this all sets us up for tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going around a couple of companies and actually having proper kitchen design sessions. So yeah, I could be tearing my hair out by the end of tomorrow. But it's exciting. I think it's going to be fun. What about you, Nick? What's your one more thing?
So I had I like to partake in fast food every now and then. I'm sure some of you like to as well. It was prepared really well this one morning that I had a Carl's Jr. breakfast burger. And I got to thinking, wow, this is so well done. I want to write a glowing review. And I thought, wow, if there was only a tool that I could say, write me a glowing review of the Carl's Jr. breakfast burger. I swear this is not an advertisement, but I put it into Chat GPT to write a review for it, right? And then I came back and said, I've learned this fun Chat GPT prompt where you can say, okay, use visceral emotional language. Rewrite it using visceral emotional language. And what follows is the review that I actually submitted to this. Okay, so the Carl's Jr. breakfast burger is an absolute culinary revelation. The explosion of flavors and textures in your mouth will leave you in a state of pure bliss. The patty is cooked to absolute perfection with a juicy and succulent taste that will make your taste buds dance. The seasoning is just right, elevating the natural taste of the beef to new heights. Each bite is a symphony of flavors that will leave you wanting more. The toppings are equally as divine, with the bacon providing satisfying crunch and the perfect amount of saltiness. The egg is cooked to perfection that adds a rich and luxurious touch. The cheese is melted and gooey, adding an irresistible creaminess that will make your mouth water. The bun is a true masterpiece, with a soft and fluffy texture that melts in your mouth. The slight sweetness perfectly complements the savory toppings, making for a truly harmonious taste experience. In short, the Carl's Jr. breakfast burger is a true work of art. It will tantalize all your senses and leave you in a state of pure gastronomic ecstasy. Damn it, I almost made it through. Whether you're a burger lover or just looking for something new, this burger is a must-try experience that you won't regret.
Wow.
And that's it for today, everyone. If you like this episode and enjoy some of the discussion around CES, I'll encourage you all to go listen to the last time we did CES, which was episode 152, which was a digital detox, CES 2020 picks, and screen time for children. Comment wherever you're listening what you think of the story this week. For more in-depth discussion, you can always join us on our Discord community. Visit our official website, sign up for our newsletter, stay up to date with all the latest Human Factors news. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, leave us a 5-star review. And replace everything with visceral emotional language when you do that. That is free for you to do. You could do that right now. You could tell your friends about us. Say, hey, these people, they're talking about CES from a Human Factors perspective. It's really cool to listen to. You can do that. 3, if you have the financial means to, support us on Patreon. We'd love your money. But seriously, what we do with your money is more important, and we put that right back into the show. We don't see a dime of that. In fact, I'm thousands of dollars in debt, so please help me. And as always, links to all of our socials and our website are in the description of this episode. Mr. Barry Kirby, thank you for being on the show today. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about smelling Tina Turner references?
You can find me across social media, Baz_K. And if you want to hear more interviews with human factors practitioners and experts in the field, then come and find me at 1202podcast.com.
As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. You can find me on our Discord and across social media, causing trouble with ChatGPT at Nick_Roome. Thanks again for tuning into Human Factors Cast. Until next time, it depends. We did it. We made it out of here.
And actually, because we started, 3 minutes late, so...
Yeah, I kept that in mind. That's why I was like, do I read this or not? Okay, we have the time. I'll do it.
Yeah. It's quite... we're almost our worst enemy, isn't it? It's the, right, we spent lots of time on the main thing. Right, we've got to keep the other ones, it came from short. So then we keep it super short. Oh, well. Oh.
Whatever. At least the review made it in there. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's all good. You did well.
What was it, 1:30? It was about 1:30 for the review. All right, let me see here. I gotta write down timestamps for later. Review at 1:30. I really want to take like I guess that's like 90. want to take some B-roll of a Carl's Jr. breakfast burger
Yes.
with some hang on. Groove music, I guess. Some like porn groove music.
Right. Okay.
I looked up porn music genre, and I just that's what came up. There's no other way to describe it. But anyway, like, because Carl's Jr. is known for that. They had the Paris Hilton ad.
Okay. I don't. I don't.
Yeah,
know
Carl's
them.
Jr.'s Hardee's is another name for it.
Okay, we know how it is. Yes.
You know Hardee's, yeah. It's
Yeah.
I almost made it through that whole thing without laughing.
Yeah. No. It's
Pure
but that-
gastronomic ecstasy.
That just it makes it it makes it real. So
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
gosh.
Well,
But the so what we were talking about in the pre-show about
Yes.
using ChatGPT as a user platform. So
Yeah.
I turned around, I just basically put into it, right, I want you to take the perspective of a Eurofighter Typhoon pilot. Right? So there is only
Oh.
limited information, right?
Yeah.
So then it just turned around and said, as a pilot of Eurofighter Typhoon, I would be responsible for blah blah blah. So he gave me the entire job description, almost unprompted. I just because all I was saying was set it in context. Told me how it would what their training would involve, what happens when they're fully trained, and then a bit more about the aircraft. So highly capable aircraft and flying it will be an exciting and challenging experience. Blah 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, that's fine. What are the user interface issues you face as a pilot? As a pilot of Eurofighter Typhoon, I may face a number of user interface issues. They include complexity, overload, limited visibility through high G maneuvers, limited tactile feedback, limited flexibility, limited. So basically started listing out all of this stuff, and I was like, that's cool, because a lot of them I already know. And actually, there was a couple of them that came up, and I was like, I'm thought of that one. That's cool. And then came up with some mitigations. I was like, okay, so you talk about overload. What are the issues to do with overload? And it went into more and more detail. And I'm like, okay. And then the other thing that I hadn't truly appreciated, and it only came because I was writing this article, it can translate into foreign languages. So I turned around and said, right, take that last answer and translate it into Welsh, which is quite a difficult language because it is, it's not a huge language in the grand scheme of things. And it chucked it back at me in Welsh. And I'm like, that's amazing. And I've had that checked by a Welsh speaker, and they're like, yep, that's, it's not absolutely perfect, but it's good enough.
right. That's
Um,
amazing. That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought. So then I played around with it a bit more to sort of say, right, you're a user of this, and it allowed. I basically had to go with it testing questionnaires. So if you do a semi-structured interview, I got it to be the recipient on the second semi-structured interview to see what its answers would be, and I could then rejig my interview based on the answers because I used it as a pilot. It's a pilot study, and I was like, that's just saved probably about £7,000 worth of effort.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there's all sorts of bits that I hadn't really thought about. We've used. Well, just when you sort of think you start to get the edge cases of how this can be used, you find then something else. So no, it's neat. I see. Was it Microsoft who bought a 49% share?
It was.
Is it?
Yeah. They own it now, I think, right?
So, and the cost. Sorry, the professional version is going to cost something like, was it $40 a month? $40 a month.
Yeah, I'd pay that. I mean, I'm unhappy about it, but I'd pay it because it's just so.
Well, it needs to
It's
scale
so-
massively because the amount of times now it's at its limits.
Yeah, exactly. I that's why I'm saying that. Yeah.
I'd also want to have some. If I was paying Microsoft to do it, I'd want to see some more boundaries put on the data. So a bit like what you have with your Office 365 cloud stuff. So you can have versions of this that stay within your own 365 ecosystem.
Right.
So
And Google said that they're getting ready to release theirs as competition.
cool.
So I'd be curious to see what their solution looks like too, because they have a whole suite of them that do different things. So I'd be curious to see how they stack up and how they're going to be used in Google search to maintain, to be relevant and competitive. So
Yeah.
that's what we're in the exciting phase right now. This is the first one to break through to a lot of people, and it's going to be exciting to see who one-ups them next. And
so it's interesting. I'm seeing some people integrate these into actual products they're selling. They're selling ChatGPT based stuff that's literally going into the API, and they're selling product based on it. Which I'm just like, there's something a bit there. Because I thought you couldn't because it's a research thing, but also you're not necessarily making your clients aware of the limitations of it.
Right.
But hey, that's their problem, not mine.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. But yes, it also helps you write magazine articles, which is very useful, as I found out this week.
Yeah. That is good. I'm glad that helped you with that. I'm trying to find a good intro hook.
For
our sea shanty, man.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, got you.
You sea shanty.
High quality there. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just gonna. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna throw myself on mute really quick and just do a little singing.
Oh dear, here we go. So if you didn't join us in the pre-show, the reason that this whole came about was we had a bit of a lightning moment where if you follow anything on TikTok, YouTube, or whatever, there was the sea shanty that went viral and actually went in the charts and stuff. So I suggested that what we needed was the human factors equivalent of the sea shanty. And then Nick's taken that absolutely to heart and got ChatGPT to write us a human factor sea shanty, and which he's now recording. So the idea was that maybe we could get different people to, if we do that whole viral thing of different people using the sound and doing their own version of it, and then we can hook it all together. I think that could be quite a laugh.
That'd be great. That'd be wonderful.
Oh, you're back. That's good.
Oh, yeah, I said I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, now your audio's gone rubbish.
Oh no, that's not.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
it's gone. It's doing a lot of compression.
Yikes! All right, well, we'll try to fix that right away. Default, yes, no, that should be right. Okay, good. All right.
It's an exciting evening as well because Amanda has gone out. Amanda, my wife, and she's just become vice chair of our local engineering group. And so tonight was was the handing over of the baton to the new chair, to the new vice chair. And so normally I have a meeting on a Thursday night before once a month before I come here, but they were doing a lecture on the industrial revolutions and how electricity has played part in industrial revolutions. And she had to do her first formal thanks to the presenter. But then they've dragged her out for a curry afterwards, which is why she's not back yet. So it's going to be quite exciting to hear how she found that. I think the idea of us as a power couple, as leading up our own various institutions is the idea of world domination is getting there.
Good. I'm happy for you guys. I would be happy if I were singing in
another
key. What? What happened? What
Oh
happened?
no! I just realised that our bin collection has changed night, and I've got to slam put the bins out tonight.
Oh.
So I'm doing that before I go to bed.
Oh, that's fun.
I know. Big first world problems. I was going to say, because all of your what's happening, but all of your audio seems to be going compressing and then doing the whole coming out later as well. But that might have just been a one-off. So, how's it coming along? Is it?
I'm trying. It's
Okay.
I'm singing in the wrong key because I got the music going here. I've got it's really hard to do. So
I was going to say, I can't. You might need to do it after the.
I will need to do it after for sure. I'm gonna give it one more try here, but yeah, I just wanted something to show.
So we'll have to see. I'm quite excited now about seeing what sort of how this all comes out. But then also, how do we then make it go? Because theoretically, I guess the sea shanty's already been done. So what other type of music would go well? But yeah, I think if I was that sort of creative, I would have come up with it already. Maybe we need to do a whole bunch of Mac research. Oh, we just do jump on that bandwagon. And it was it was that one, wasn't it? It was Wellerman, I think. Can we play this? Can we? We should be able to play the original in the post show, shouldn't we? Or will we get spammed with stuff like that? Oh, because we're still going up.
We might get hit with one just because it's going out on all platforms.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yes.
I shall go and look at that on TikTok later on. Oh, the time's flying as well. It's already it's just gone quarter to midnight here in the UK. I've got no idea what that means. I keep on meaning to get some clocks now. I need some clocks to show the different time zones that we play with, because I can never keep up. You'd think it would be quite just a matter of simple maths.
You're shifting again, right? You're shifting in time soon.
We will be going forward, but not until March, I think. When does the clocks go? I think the clocks go forward in March, so 2 months' time. That'll be all right. But it always sort of, we should just end the whole summertime thing. It's just it's not needed anymore. Well, by me anyway.
This is tough. This is tough.
Do we need to finish
It's
it
hard.
so you can go and do it?
Yeah, I do. I need to figure it out. But yeah. So that's not going to happen during the post show, unfortunately.
No, really not. It's and maybe you've got standards as well. If you could, it's
yeah. You know, I'm still trying to find a good hook though. Like that's the thing is I'm recording one that's half baked because I wanted to get it out there. And
yeah,
really there needs to be a good hook. Like there once was an engineer, you see, human factors one, as could be in industries he'd put to sea. Oh, you know, like when they use the words from the original song, it's not as fun. Soon may the HFE come to bring us solutions one by one to make our work safe and fun. We'll take our leave and go. That's pretty good. From aerospace to healthcare, he'd make sure the design was fair. I'm really impressed in a lot of ways.
It is quite clever the way that it can put it all in the way that it is. It's I wonder when they started putting this together if they thought that we would be abusing it in the way that that we truly are. So
I don't think so.
but it'd be, I guess it's the interesting bit is, I mean, the amount of data they must be getting back and harvesting and hoovering to do the analytics on that must be quite incredible. So
Yeah, I wonder if it's like, you know, this happens at some companies where they get the data back and they just don't know what to do with it.
well, I mean, there's got to be massive. I mean, the amount of spurious request. I mean, how do you filter out the what I guess you call a good quality request? You
Right.
know, like I would class my, be the pilot of a Eurofighter Typhoon as a good quality
Sure, yeah,
request.
exactly.
I would suggest the tell me a joke on human factors isn't the same level of gravitas that one would equate with a good quality request. So yeah, I mean, there must have something in there to be able to put some of that out of there. But,
Well, I know they have options to like provide whether or not it was a good output or not. I do those sometimes. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
mhm.
I know a lot of people take some time to do that, which can have a massive improvement on.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Should do, but I don't. Maybe I should. So,
Can you see what I'm doing? I did.
Yeah, I back it out again, haven't you? Yeah, that now you just look like a stalker.
Yeah, it's real weird.
So that's what's because you've got it's because you got the edge case, isn't it? That's making it judder.
Right. I mean, there's other cool things you can do with this, which I fully plan to implement next time that we're like out at HFES. Zoom in on our guest and then have it track as they move. So no matter who we have on as a guest, it's going to track and it's going to follow them.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So, and so that's and you're just using the
It's just
Elgato
tracking
camera.
me. Yeah, it's the same camera, and it's just
Yeah.
and if I zoomed in even more, like you could get really in on my face, obviously. And then if I moved over here, oh,
It would still follow you. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So, oh, what's it do? Oh, it's doing that. Okay. You're trying to play like hide and seek with the camera.
can't find me. It's okay. Yeah, that one's fun, and I fully plan to use that because basically what we'll do is we'll put this on the seat. We'll put one camera on the seat of the guest, and then what we'll do is have the guest sit there because people move that chair all around to get comfortable with how far away from you they are, and so based on the for however. Throughout the day, we can set a window and it'll get a big window, but it'll be zoomed in at a certain level to get everybody. And so then it will just be, as long as it's operating within the same relative depth, but just at different places, it'll be fine. So that'll be. I wonder if it auto frames like does it zoom in if I go back? No.
No,
But that'd be good. So anyway, we'll figure it out. But I fully plan to use that. There's some other cool things. Vignette, video noise removal. I don't think there's any video noise. But yeah, my two favorite, and then of course there's lay background blur. Well, this one's called Crazy Eyebrows. I don't even know what it's doing.
Yeah, it is. It's making your eyebrows go crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right, enough of that.
that's less than subtle.
Switch back to the source feed. Oh no.
No, you're gone again.
Yeah, I know. There we go. Good. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. Should we preview what could potentially be next week's stories?
Oh, go on then.
Well, let me look. I've been too busy dodging the camera. So next week, is that really it? Okay. Yeah, it must be it. All right. So next week we have Airbus tests pilot assist that can automatically divert flights.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. And this is where you tell me, no, Nick, we don't have enough time, or we'd get through that in 5 minutes. But essentially, this one can automatically land on any runway using sensors and computer vision algorithms. Pilots can get help taxiing around airports. Translates air traffic control's clearance into usable guidance, clues in a companion app. Assists with speed control, alerts pilots to obstacles. Crews could spend more time getting ready for the actual flight.
I worked on something over, my goodness, it must be about nearly 20 years ago, called the electronic flight bag, which did similar things.
It's called Dragonfly. It can not only pick a flight path to the best airport in the event of an automatic diversion of an emergency, like airspace rules, weather, but communicate with air traffic control and an airline operation center if the pilots are incapacitated. The aircraft can still land safely.
Fair.
That's cool. So that's one story that we could potentially talk about. Another one, tech industry still has a long way to go when it comes to accessibility. I kind of like that one coming off the theme of CES this week.
Mm-hmm.
Really talking about some of the trends in tech from like Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Twitter. Just kind of seeing the state of everything, where some of the biggest tech companies are at right now in terms of accessibility and where they need to be. And then the last one that could potentially be a story for next week is culture, cognition, and human-computer interaction. And this is looking at sort of the impact of culture on technology design and use. And so this might be another kind of good deep dive for us to jump into for understanding sort of, culture and how it's impacting the way that we use technology every day, from different languages, different life experiences.
That would be an interesting one, because we've got background in culture work. So,
and conversely, how getting multicultural individuals working on a project can influence the design of that project.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be a good one too.
Which means that they won't select it then. It's going to be
right. You know what? I've heavily influenced the selection criteria for this week, so I'm going to I'm going to let it be for everyone else to pick this time around. If I had to pick a story, I don't know. I'm torn. I kind of like them all equally.
The aerospace one is good from I like planes perspective. And actually, there's a lot of tech there that, a lot of the stuff that's been described is just joining stuff up that already exists.
Yeah.
The culture one is really interesting. I've done a fair bit of work in culture, particularly within social media and stuff, messaging, influencing, stuff like that. So that's all quite cool. So yeah, one of them two, I think it would be my thing.
So not the accessibility one.
Well, but again, yeah, that works as well. So
That's where I'm like, you know what? I'd be happy with any of these.
Yeah, that's true. Unlike last week, whereas I wanted a specific one and everyone let me down.
You know what? To be fair, it was close. It was like one vote away.
Oh, maybe I should have done more around that then. But saying that, we still had a very good discussion, so it was fine.
Yes.
So, anyway,
well, we shall see how it goes next week. I think we got to wrap up now because it's 4 p.m.
It's late.
It's late for you, and my day is just starting.
Yay! So, good for you.
No.
Well, hope everyone has good weekends and all of that sort of stuff. And we'll see you next week.
Yes. Goodbye for now. See you next week, where we will be back to talk about one of these stories, and it'll be a great time. All right. See you then.